Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the MMI Turret V2. This watch is available from MMIwatches.com on pre-order for €257. MMI Watches are a microbrand based in Singapore, and they have run 3 successful Kickstarter campaigns. One of those 3 campaigns was for this model, the Turret, and it was backed by 127 backers. So the watches are currently in production and more are available on a pre-order basis from MMIwatches.com. So firstly, let's look at the travel roll that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the travel roll comes protected by a cardboard watch box, and the watch box itself is also protected in shipping by this cardboard sleeve. So this is the outer box. As you can see, it has the MMI brand logo, and then inside we have the travel roll. So as you can see, very aesthetically pleasing. It's a brown suede effect travel roll which has a strap securing it. So one unravels the strap and unrolls the travel roll, and there's a flap, one lifts up, 3 compartments, and as you can see, very well executed, flawless stitching throughout, and we have the MMI brand emblem in the right hand compartment. So I'll show you what comes with it. So as you can see, we also have a plastic international guarantee card, and I'm pleased to report that the MMI Turret, like all MMI watches, is covered by a 12-month international guarantee. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the MMI Turret V2. We have a 40mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 47mm, a thickness of 13.7mm, and a lug width of 22mm. The H-link bracelet tapers from 22mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push flip-lock clasp, and as you can see, the flip-lock clasp is signed to a high standard with an engraved MMI brand logo. Now, I'm often critical of brands only having 3 micro adjustment holes in their clasps, and I'm pleased to report that MMI have made the correct decision because they have 5 micro adjustment holes, and that allows for plenty of fine tuning to get the bracelet length correct. This is an example to other watch brands how to get it correct. 5 micro adjustment holes really is very good. I like the V-shaped flip lock, it's very well executed, and I also like the fact it's got a scallop underneath the V-shaped flip lock, and that means one can get one's index finger or alternatively thumbnail underneath the flip lock and scoop it up. So it's very well executed. Nice foam resistance to the 2-button push triggers, and the interior is finished to a very high standard. Brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks of the solid milled stainless steel clasp, which is made from 316L grade stainless steel. So very good positive click to it, and nice positive reassuring secondary click to the V-shaped flip lock. So with regards to the rest of the specifications, we have a sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and as you can see, the AR coating does an excellent job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver baton hands and the silver applied indices. I love the symmetry of the dial with the absence of a date complication, and rather than having a conventional date complication at 3 or 6 o'clock, MMI deserve full credit because they've come up with their own original design. As you can see, it has a rotor date wheel in the centre of the dial, and rather than having a date wheel with Arabic numerals that rotate in a date window, what they've done is they've got a marker which is orange, and the marker actually rotates around the fixed Arabic numerals in the centre of the dial, and I'll demonstrate that when I do the crown test. So I like the flat sapphire crystal. As you can see, it's got a nice large bevel on the edge of it which catches the light, and the AR coating works very well. Solid 316L grade stainless steel bezel, coin edge finished and finished to a very high standard. The teeth are very well brushed satin finished, and I like the low profile of the bezel, which is partially recessed into the flanks of the case. The case shape reminds me of the Seiko Samurai due to the angular lug profile, and I like the bevels which are machined both on the inside edge of the lugs and also on the exterior. They add interest to the piece, and it's a very nicely finished case, and it is an original design. Another thing I really like about it is the vertical brushed satin finishing to the flanks. Usually with the flanks of watch cases, they're either mirror polished or alternatively longitudinally brushed satin finish, and the vertical brushed satin finishing, as you can see, gives a beautiful lustre to the 316L grade stainless steel. It's a really nice sheen to it, and it catches the light very well, and the quality of the finishing on this piece is outstanding. MMI deserve full credit. This is the kind of case finishing one would expect to see on a mid-tier piece, not a low-tier piece costing €257. With regards to the bezel insert, it looks like black ceramic, but it's actually made from stainless steel, which may come as a surprise to you. The stainless steel bezel insert is ion coated, and it's ion coated with a layer of titanium nitride, which gives it its black appearance. So the benefit of using a stainless steel bezel insert rather than aluminium is stainless steel is harder and therefore more scratch resistant than aluminium. And it's a credible alternative to using black ceramic because one gets the same aesthetic as black ceramic. It has that glossy finish to it, but that's actually ion plating rather than ceramic. And the titanium nitride is very hard and scratch resistant. So one gets the aesthetic of ceramic, and it's more scratch resistant than aluminium. But I like it. I think the stainless steel ion plated with titanium nitride gives a very aesthetically pleasing look. The minute ticks, Arabic numerals and also the triangle at 12 o'clock are fully inlaid with C3X1 superluminova, and it's top grade superluminova. It's Swiss C3X1 superluminova, and again, MMI deserve full credit because they're a Singapore-based micro brand, but they're using Swiss C3X1 superluminova, which really is the very best of Lume in the industry. Right, so let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel. Really firm resistance to it. I really like the action of it. It feels very similar to a Steinhardt Ocean 139, alternatively a Seiko SKX007. It's got that characteristic loud audible click to the 120 clicks of the ratcheting mechanism. I really like the loud audible clicks, and I also like the feeling of it, the firm resistance. It's not easily going to accidentally be knocked out of position. No lateral side-side play whatsoever. No back play whatsoever. This is perfect 10 out of 10 bezel execution. I really like the firm feeling of it. Now, it's very grippy as well, despite being partially recessed on the flanks, as you can see, and it is low profile with a large chamfer machine to the top edge. The coin edge finishing means that it's very tactile and very grippy. One can get good purchase on it, despite it being a firm resistance. With an index finger and thumb, it's easy to grip the coin edge finishing, and I actually prefer coin edge finishing to bezels rather than the conventional scallop finishing as per the Rolex Submariner, for example. Perfect alignment. The loomed triangle on the stainless steel bezel insert perfectly aligns with the double indices at 12 o'clock on the dial. So no lateral side-side play, no back play, perfect alignment. 10 out of 10 bezel execution. With regards to the crown, it's coin edge finished, solid 316L grade stainless steel, engraved to a high standard with the MMI brand emblem, and it's also inlaid with C3X1 superluminova as well, which I'll show you in the Lume test. And this is an interesting feature. One doesn't often see this, an engraved signed crown inlaid with superluminova, which glows in the dark. So I really like that aspect. Right, so let's test the crown action. Silky smooth, it's very impressive. Absolute pleasure to unscrew it, minimal friction to it, so very good machining on the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. The screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters, which is very strong specification. So in the first position, it's the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the Seiko NH35A automatic to top it up to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up. Absolute pleasure to manually wind. Pulling it out to the first click position is the date complication position. So, if you look closely at the rotor wheel date complication in the centre of the dial with the white Arabic numerals, you'll see when one rotates the crown anti-clockwise, it has an orange marker which moves around. So if you look closely at 9 o'clock now, you can see that the date, the orange marker for the rotor date wheel is at 9 o'clock, which is the 23rd of the month. And rotating the crown anti-clockwise makes that orange marker rotate clockwise around the dial. So it's an interesting alternative to using the conventional date wheel in a date window with Arabic numerals. I like it. It does take some getting used to, but the legibility of the orange marker, if you look at it, I'm rotating it around the dial now. The legibility of the orange marker is very good. It contrasts very well with the white Arabic numerals and also the matte black dial. So I like it. So I think it's a good innovation. And again, MMI deserve full credit because they've come up with this original design. It's not copied from any other brand. And I like everything about this watch being original. It's not an homage to a Rolex or a Tudor or Omega piece. The turret is completely original. Everything down to the stainless steel bezel insert, which is inlaid with C3X1 superluminova, which is iron plated with titanium nitride. All of these features are completely unique to MMI. So let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup, and I really like the action. Nice firm resistance to it. One can feel the tension of the O-rings inside the crown and also the crown tube, providing the hermetic seal. So it's perfect crown execution, and I'm very impressed with it, bearing in mind that this is a low tier price point piece. So I'll show you the case back, which is very well executed. Solid 316L grade stainless steel, engraved to a high standard with the specification, and in the centre section we have the MMI brand emblem engraved. Really good quality engraving, and the concentric brush satin finishing is done to a good standard. It gives the watch a nice tool watch aesthetic. The screw down case back provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 metres. One detail I like about the H-link bracelet is the end links are a good tight fit to the case, but they have quick release spring bars, so one doesn't need a spring bar tool in order to remove the bracelet from the head of the piece if one wants to fit alternative straps such as a NATO strap or rubber strap. And I really think this should become the industry standard. Quick release spring bars are far more convenient than using conventional spring bars and having to use a spring bar tool to remove the bracelet. So they've made another correct decision with this. Now, with regards to the bracelet, I really like the finishing of the H-link bracelet. As you can see, beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel, and the H-link bracelet makes a refreshing change from the default options for watch brands, micro bands using Jubilee or Oyster style bracelets. I really like the look of H-link bracelets, and I think more brands should use them as an alternative to Oyster style bracelets. Now, the other thing I really like is they've chosen to use female pivoted end links rather than using male pivoted end links, which keeps the lug-to-lug measurement short at only 47mm. And the female pivoted end links work very well. As you can see, there's plenty of articulation on the end of the H-link in the bracelet, so one can get a good snug fit without a gap underneath the head of the piece. Right, so I'll give you wrist shots and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, I haven't sized the bracelet. I've simply taken the watch out of the watch box, and as you can see, no difficulty whatsoever. I can easily slide an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times, so this will fit up to even an 8.5-inch wrist. There are plenty of links in the H-link bracelet. 5 micro adjustment holes in the V-shaped clasp means that one can fine-tune the fit to get the perfect fit. And I really like the shape of the lugs. The angular profile with the downturn undercut, as you can see, means that it fits very snug to the wrist. The female pivoted end links also enhance the fit. They pull the H-link bracelet down close to the wrist. So very well thought through design. Now, with regards to the proportions, it is very well done. The 22mm lug width balances the 40mm head of the piece very well. It distributes the weight of the head of the piece across the 22mm H-link bracelet. The angular profile to the case is very aesthetically pleasing. I like the bevels, which are machined on the exterior and the interior of the lugs. As you can see, it's nice the way they catch the light, and nice attention to detail with the coin edge bezel being partially recessed into the flank of the case. So it's a very good looking piece. The feel good factor is good. The comfort level is good. Now, the only thing to note is it does have heft. It's a very heavy piece. 188 grams with all the links in the H-link bracelet. Now, as you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider circa 150 grams to be the sweet spot for a 40mm piece on a bracelet. At 188 grams, it is 38 grams in excess of that 150 gram sweet spot, and it is notable. So I would say to you, if you're a collector with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, you may find the 188 grams to be too heavy to wear the piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. But however, it is only 13.7mm thick, and therefore it will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. So it is a comfortable piece, but I would say it's best suited to collectors with a 7 to 8 inch wrist rather than a 6 to 7 inch wrist. If you do have a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you may want to consider wearing the piece on a rubber strap or a NATO strap in order to reduce the heft to below 150 grams, and therefore that will enhance the comfort level of the piece. I love the way the edge of the flat sapphire crystal catches the light. If you look at it there, you can see that the bevel on the edge of the sapphire crystal catches the light, and the AR coating does an outstanding job, as I've discussed, of reducing the reflection on the baton hands and also the silver applied indices. Perfect symmetry to the dial, legibility is excellent, and we also have a contrasting white chapter ring which is fully indexed with minute ticks. So good looking piece, comfortable piece to wear despite the heft, and really one has to just bear in mind that it is a heavy piece. But if you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you'll be removing 4 or even 5 links from the H-link bracelet, and that will move it down closer to 160 grams, which is reasonable. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. Now I've got high expectations of this piece because it uses Swiss C3 X1 superluminova, which is top grade Swiss superluminova. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is outstanding C3 superluminova performance. I really like X1 grade because it gives it a slightly whiter tone. It gives it a bright tone of green C3. Now as you can see, MMI have done an outstanding job on the stainless steel bezel insert, which is iron plated. They fully lumed it. The Lume triangle at 12 o'clock is fully lumed, the minute ticks down to the 20-minute mark, and then we've also got the Arabic numerals fully lumed. Perfect symmetry to the dial with the applied indices. This is clearly 5 to 6 layers of C3 X1 superluminova. The baton hands are clearly legible. One can easily differentiate between the shorter hour hand and the longer minute hand. And I think this is an example to other brands of how to get it correct. They clearly haven't cut any corners with regards to the quality of the Swiss C3X1 superluminova. It really is top grade. It's glowing very brightly and it will continue to glow for a good length of time. Now if you look closely at the 4 o'clock index on the dial, you can see that they have also loomed the orange date marker, and that's a detail I really like because it contrasts very well and it just adds interest to the dial. And also if you look closely at the sweeping second hand, you can see the loomed triangle pip, which also means that one can see the second hand sweeping around the dial in the dark. It's continuing to glow brightly and it will continue to glow for a good length of time, so I'm really pleased with the performance of the Swiss C3X1 superluminova. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. You'll all be familiar with the Seiko NH35A automatic. It has 24 joules and it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. Hand winding and hacking are useful complications. 40-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable, and it has a stated accuracy of -20 to +40 seconds per day, which is perfectly acceptable. This one is very well regulated. It's running consistently at +6, which is very good for an NH35A automatic. So I think it's the correct choice of movement for this piece. It's reliable, well-proven workhorse movement, and I like the fact it's got hand winding and hacking, and 40 hours is perfectly good enough. So I'll just do one other thing with the Lume test. I didn't show you the fully loomed crown, which is one of my favourite aspects of the piece. I'm going to fully charge up the crown, and then you can see that it's inlaid with C3X1 superluminova. Right, so as you can see, this is the crown fully loomed when it's fully charged up. Absolutely incredible, and this is a really nice detail of the turret that I like. I think more brands should consider doing this because it adds interest to the screw down crown. As you can see, the MMI brand emblem is engraved and then fully inlaid with C3X1 superluminova, and it's very good. One can see it in the dark very clearly, as you can see when one looks at the right hand flank. And this is something one rarely sees, and bear in mind this is a low tier price point piece, and it's very good to get this kind of innovation at this price point. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. I think they've done a good job of engraving the MMI brand emblem and also infilling it with superluminova. So that's something I wanted to show you, something you might like about the piece. I think it's great. Right, so lastly I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So this is available on pre-order for €257. That is the price point. It's a low tier piece. Yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value at €257. Really, to evaluate is this excellent quality and excellent value, one has to examine the finishing to the bezel insert, the head of the piece, and also the bracelet. And I can say throughout, the quality of the finishing, the brushed satin finishing, the mirror polishing, and also the actual bezel insert itself, the stainless steel bezel, which is iron plated with titanium nitride. They have done an outstanding job. It's very strong specification. One rarely gets a piece with Swiss C3X1 Superlume Nova at €257, and one certainly doesn't see a stainless steel bezel insert which is iron plated with titanium nitride. These are very expensive production costs to produce. So the specification is strong, 300 meters. We have AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal, and they've made correct decision after correct decision, because we've got female pivoted end links in the H-link bracelet, 5 micro adjustment holes in the clasp, and we've also got screw pins in the bracelet rather than push pins, so no cost cutting measures whatsoever. So I like everything about the specification. Really, when I'm evaluating a dive piece, I look for 3 core elements. I look for bezel execution, crown execution, and lume performance in the lume test. This satisfies all of those 3 core elements. We've got excellent bezel action, excellent crown execution, and excellent lume performance. So yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the MMI Turret V2. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.